Hey collectors, welcome back. You know what amazes me about this hobby? Sometimes the most extraordinary value hides in plain sight. Those quarters jingling in your pocket change. Some could be worth thousands, not someday, but right now. Today we're diving into 3 remarkable US quarters that casual collectors often overlook but serious numismatists prize above almost everything else. These aren't ancient Roman coins or gold doubloons, these are modern quarters minted within your lifetime that could change your financial future. Let's explore these contemporary treasures that might be hiding in your coin jar as we speak. Our first featured coin is the legendary 1982 Washington quarter with no mint mark. Now, I know what you're thinking, aren't all 1982 quarters pretty common? And you'd be right about 99.9% of them. But here's where things get fascinating. The 1982 quarter represents a pivotal moment in U.S. coinage history. It was the final year before the Philadelphia Mint began consistently adding the P mint mark to their quarters. Prior to this change, Philadelphia minted quarters traditionally carried a no mint mark at all. What makes the 1982 no mint mark quarter so special isn't its design or composition, it's the extraordinary error that resulted in its extremely limited numbers. Now, a bit of historical context. In 1982, the U.S. Mint faced significant budget constraints during a recession. They drastically reduced production of proof and uncirculated mint sets, the premium collector products that numismatists eagerly anticipate each year. The Philadelphia Mint did produce business strike quarters for circulation, but here's where things get interesting: they weren't supposed to produce any quarters for the collectors' uncirculated sets that year. Yet somehow, against all official records, a small number of 1982 Philadelphia quarters made their way into these sets. The Mint has never officially acknowledged producing these coins, which makes their existence something of a modern numismatic mystery. These are what collectors refer to as mint set only quarters, believed to number fewer than 15,000 specimens. What exactly should you be looking for? The identifying features are subtle but unmistakable. First, check for the absence of a mint mark. There should be nothing below Washington's head where you'd typically find a D for Denver or P for Philadelphia on later issues. Then, examine the striking quality. These rare coins have a distinctly sharper strike than typical circulation quarters, with more pronounced details on Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers. The rims are more defined, and the overall surface has what we call a satin finish, slightly more matte than the brilliant shine of standard circulation strikes. But here's the real telltale sign: these quarters have a particular luster that's characteristic of special mint set coins. Under proper lighting, they exhibit what experts describe as a cartwheel effect. When rotated, light seems to spin around the coin like the spokes of a wheel. This distinctive visual effect is nearly impossible to replicate and serves as a key authentication point. Speaking of authentication, given their exceptional value, I strongly recommend professional grading for any potential 1982 no mint mark quarters you might discover. Services like PCGS or NGC can definitively confirm what you have. So what are these quarters worth? Hold on to your hats, because the numbers are staggering. While a standard 1982 circulation quarter is worth exactly 25 cents, these special mint set quarters have sold for between $18,000 and $30,000 in recent auctions. In 2021, a particularly pristine specimen graded MS-67 by PCGS fetched $29,800 at Heritage Auctions. That's well over 100,000 times its face value. Even examples in lower mint state grades can command 5-figure prices. The value curve for these quarters is particularly steep when it comes to condition. An MS-63 might bring $10,000 to $15,000, while the jump to MS-65 could mean $20,000 or more. At the MS-67 grade, you're looking at the upper tier of the market. And should an MS-68 ever surface? We'd likely see a 6-figure auction result. One of the most fascinating aspects of this coin is the controversy surrounding its very existence. The U.S. Mint's official position has been inconsistent over the years. In some communications, they've denied producing any 1982 Philadelphia quarters for collector sets. Yet the coins indisputably exist, bearing all the hallmarks of special mint set production. Some numismatic researchers believe they were struck as test pieces to calibrate equipment, while others suspect they were produced for internal quality control purposes and somehow escaped into the collector market. I personally spoke with a former Philadelphia Mint employee who suggested something even more intriguing. According to him, a small batch was authorized at the last minute after collectors complained about the cancellation of the standard mint sets. This theory would explain why no official records acknowledge their production. They were essentially an unscheduled, unofficial striking done outside normal protocols. What makes hunting for these quarters particularly exciting is that they're still out there. Unlike many legendary rare coins that have all been accounted for in collections and museums, several thousand 1982 no-mint mark quarters remain undiscovered. They were released into circulation as well as through the limited special collector channels, meaning any 1982 quarter without a mint mark deserves your careful inspection. I remember meeting a collector at a coin show in Denver who told me his remarkable find story. He'd purchased a bag of quarters from his local bank specifically to search for silver coins from before 1965. Finding none, he was about to return them when he noticed an unusually sharp-looking 1982 quarter. On a hunch, he set it aside and later had it authenticated. That quarter, which cost him exactly 25 cents, sold for $18,400 at auction, not a bad return on investment. Another collector discovered one while sorting through his late father's modest coin collection. His father had apparently pulled it from circulation in the early 1980s, noting something different about it without realizing its significance. That coin, graded MS-66, provided enough money to pay for his daughter's first year of college tuition. These stories underscore what I find most compelling about numismatics. Sometimes extraordinary value hides in the most ordinary places. The 1982 no-mint mark quarter represents the perfect storm of numismatic interest, mysterious origins, extreme rarity, ongoing discovery potential, and tremendous value. It's the modern equivalent of finding a 1913 Liberty Head nickel or an 1804 silver dollar, only these quarters might actually turn up in your pocket change or coin jar. So next time you're sorting through quarters, pay special attention to any from 1982. Check for the missing mint mark, the exceptional strike quality, and that distinctive satin finish. You might just be holding a five-figure coin in your hand. And isn't that possibility, that moment of discovery, what makes collecting so addictively exciting? Let's complete our quarter trilogy with what might be the most intriguing modern rarity of all, the 1993 Washington quarter with a dramatic double die obverse. Unlike our previous examples that derived their value from intentional mint decisions, this coin represents something coin collectors have cherished for generations, a spectacular minting error that slipped past quality control and into circulation. The 1993 double die quarter emerged during a period when the U.S. Mint was operating at full capacity to meet commercial demand. The Philadelphia Mint, responsible for producing billions of coins annually, was running multiple shifts with dies being prepared and replaced at a rapid pace. It was in this environment of mass production that something extraordinary happened. A die used to strike quarters received a significant misalignment during the hubbing process. Let me explain what double die actually means, as it's one of the most misunderstood terms in numismatics. It doesn't mean the coin was struck twice. Rather, it results from an error in creating the die that strikes the coins. When manufacturing a die, the mint uses a hub, carrying the positive design, to impress the negative image into a blank die. This process, called hubbing, sometimes requires multiple impressions. If there's even slight rotational misalignment between these impressions, the resulting die carries a doubled image, and every coin struck from that die will show doubling. What makes the 1993 double die quarter particularly remarkable is both the prominence of the doubling and how long the die remained in service before being detected. The doubling is most visible in Washington's hair, particularly near the ribbon tying his ponytail, and in the lettering of Liberty and the date. Under even modest magnification, you can see clear separation between the primary and secondary images, not just a slight thickening that might be dismissed as die wear. Identifying this variety requires a bit more attention than our previous coins. You'll need at least a 5x magnifying glass, though 10x is preferable. Focus on Washington's hair ribbon and the word Liberty. You should see clear separation of design elements, almost as if there's a shadow slightly offset from the main design. The "In God We Trust" motto also shows noticeable doubling, particularly in the letters God and Trust. The date shows similar characteristics, with the 93 displaying the most prominent doubling. It's important to distinguish true doubled dies from other minting phenomena that can appear similar. Strike doubling, sometimes called machine doubling, occurs during the striking process and creates a flat, shelf-like appearance rather than the clean separation seen in genuine doubled dies. The 1993 doubled die shows the sharp, well-defined secondary image characteristic of authentic hub doubling. So what about value? This is where the story gets really interesting. When first discovered around 1994, these quarters commanded modest premiums of $50 to $100. As awareness grew among collectors, prices steadily increased. Today, a 1993 double die quarter in MS-65 condition typically sells for $1,500 to $2,500. Superb gem examples in MS-67 have reached the $8,000 to $10,000 range. Even circulated examples showing moderate wear can bring $300 to $500, remarkable for a coin that was distributed through normal banking channels less than 3 decades ago. The condition impact on value is particularly steep with this issue. Because double die errors are most visible on well-struck coins with minimal wear, preservation is crucial. The doubling can become less pronounced as wear erases the finer details. This creates an interesting value curve where the difference between a negative $58 almost uncirculated, and an MS-63, choice uncirculated, might be $500 to $700, while the jump from MS-65 to MS-67 could mean several $1,000s in added value. The total population of these quarters remains somewhat mysterious. Unlike our previous examples where mintage figures provide clear boundaries, error coins like this are generally estimated by survival rate and grading service population reports. Current estimates suggest somewhere between 15,000 and 20,000 examples exist across all conditions, making it considerably rarer than the 1996 W but not quite as elusive as the 1982 no mint mark quarter. Here's where this coin's story takes a fascinating turn. It continues to be discovered in circulation. While the 1982 Special Strike and 1996 W proof quarter never entered general circulation, these 1993 double die quarters were distributed through normal banking channels alongside millions of regular quarters. This means examples are still being found by sharp-eyed collectors who examine their change or search through bank rolls. I personally know a collector in Michigan who found 3 examples between 2015 and 2019 just by methodically searching quarter rolls from his local bank. None were in pristine condition, all showed circulation wear, yet they still sold for a combined $1,100. Another collector I met at a show in Chicago told me about finding one in excellent uncirculated condition in a mint set he purchased from an estate sale for $5. That coin, graded MS-66, later sold for over $4,000. What makes this coin particularly appealing to serious collectors is its connection to famous double die errors of the past. It follows in the tradition of legendary varieties like the 1955 double die cent and 1972 double die cent, both of which have become cornerstone issues in modern American numismatics. While not quite reaching the fame or value of those earlier examples, the 1993 double die quarter represents perhaps the most significant double die error in the Washington quarter series. There's an interesting story about the discovery of this variety that I've confirmed with several sources. A collector in Pennsylvania noticed the doubling while going through rolls of quarters in late 1993. He contacted several numismatic publications, but initially received little interest. Double dies had become somewhat common in the Lincoln cent series, and there was skepticism about yet another double die claim. It wasn't until early 1994, when renowned error coin expert J.T. Stanton examined and authenticated examples, that the variety gained legitimate recognition in the collecting community. For those of you hoping to find one of these quarters, I recommend focusing on coins from the early to mid-1990s when searching. Remember that all 1993 double die quarters were minted in Philadelphia and carry no mint mark. Pay particular attention to Washington's hair ribbon and the word Liberty. These show the most pronounced doubling and are the easiest diagnostic areas to examine even without strong magnification. One aspect that fascinates me about this coin is how it represents the intersection of traditional collecting and modern technology. When first discovered, information about the 1993 double die spread primarily through print numismatic publications and coin club meetings. Today, high-resolution digital images, online forums, and social media have democratized access to information about such varieties. A collector in rural Montana has the same access to identification resources as someone living next door to a major coin shop in New York City. This has both expanded the hunting pool, more people know what to look for, and increased competition for the remaining undiscovered specimens. It's a race between growing awareness and the inevitable attrition of these coins as they're removed from circulation. Each year, the chances of finding one diminish slightly, which has helped drive the steady price appreciation we've seen. What's particularly notable about the 1993 double die quarter is its accessibility. Unlike many significant numismatic rarities that are priced beyond the reach of average collectors, this is a coin that anyone might find for face value with enough persistence and knowledge. It represents the democratic ideal of the hobby, that remarkable discoveries remain possible for everyone regardless of budget or connections. For variety collectors, this quarter has become a must-have piece, often serving as the cornerstone of modern era collections. Its visual impact, historical significance as the most prominent double die in the Washington Quarter series, and its continuing discovery narrative make it an eternally fascinating issue for specialists and general collectors alike. Now let's move on to our second featured rarity, the 1996 W Washington Quarter. This coin represents something truly special in American numismatics, the first time the West Point mint mark appeared on a circulating quarter design. But here's the twist, these quarters weren't actually meant for circulation at all. The story begins with the U.S. Mint's 1996 celebration of the 50th anniversary of the Roosevelt dime. To commemorate this milestone, Mint officials planned something unprecedented. They would include a special West Point minted quarter, dime, and half-dollar in the year's silver-proof sets. This marketing decision turned what would have been an ordinary commemorative release into a landmark numismatic event. The West Point Mint in New York had been producing coins since 1973, but primarily focused on bullion coins and commemorative issues rather than circulation strikes. Prior to 1996, the W mint mark had appeared only on certain gold coins and commemoratives, never on quarters intended for collectors or circulation. This decision to include a W mint quarter in the special silver-proof sets instantly created a modern rarity. What makes this situation particularly interesting is how the Mint limited their production. Only 1,752,000 of these quarters were struck, a tiny number compared to the hundreds of millions of quarters typically produced for circulation. But here's the critical point, they were available exclusively in the 1996 silver-proof sets. You couldn't find them in regular proof sets, uncirculated sets, or anywhere in circulation. The only way to obtain this coin was by purchasing the premium silver set. Let's talk about identification. The 1996 W quarter is easily distinguished by its mint mark. A small but clear W appears below Washington's portrait on the obverse, or head side, of the coin. The quarter maintains the standard Washington design by John Flanagan that had been used since 1932, with Washington's profile on the obverse and the eagle on the reverse. Being a silver-proof coin, it's composed of 90% silver and 10% copper, weighing approximately 6.25 grams, slightly heavier than standard clad quarters. As a proof coin, the 1996 W exhibits exceptional striking quality. The devices, that's the raised design elements, have a frosted appearance that contrasts beautifully against mirror-like fields, the flat background areas. This contrast, what numismatists call cameo or deep cameo effect, is particularly pronounced on well-preserved specimens. When examining a potential 1996 W quarter, pay close attention to the fields. They should be almost mirror-like in their reflectivity. The strike should be exceptionally sharp, with all details of Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers clearly defined. And of course, that W mint mark should be crisp and unmistakable. Now let's talk value, and this is where things get exciting. Upon release in 1996, the entire silver-proof set retailed for about $23. Today, a single 1996 W quarter in PR 69 DCAM, deep cameo, condition routinely sells for $400 to $600. Perfect PR 70 DCAM examples can fetch $1,000 to $1,500 or more. Even in PR 65 condition, these quarters command $300 to $400. That's a remarkable appreciation for a coin minted in our lifetimes. What's particularly interesting about the market for these quarters is how steadily they've appreciated. Unlike some modern issues that surge in value upon release then decline, the 1996 W quarter has shown consistent growth over 25+ years. In fact, during the rare coin market downturn of 2008 to 2014, when many numismatic items lost value, the 1996 W quarter maintained its price levels and even continued modest appreciation. The auction record for this coin was set in 2019 when a perfect PR 70 DCAM example, along with a signed certificate of authenticity from then Mint director Philip Deal, sold for $8,625. While that represents an exceptional premium for special documentation, even standard examples have shown remarkable strength. Now here's something fascinating about condition for this particular issue. The cameo contrast I mentioned earlier is crucial to value. The Mint used special polishing techniques on the dies for these proof coins to create that dramatic contrast between frosted devices and mirror fields. However, as dies were used repeatedly, this contrast would gradually diminish. This means early strikes from fresh dies tend to show the strongest cameo effect and command the highest premiums. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC actually distinguish between cameo and deep cameo, or ultra cameo at NGC designations, with the latter carrying significant premium. When examining potential 1996 W quarters, use strong, direct lighting to evaluate this contrast. The more dramatic the difference between the frosty raised elements and mirror-like fields, the more valuable the specimen. There's another intriguing aspect of these quarters. Their distribution method created an unusual collecting dynamic. Since they were only available in silver-proof sets, many remain intact in their original government packaging. This has preserved their condition remarkably well, which explains why a disproportionate number grade at the higher end of the scale. However, this also means that many 1996 W quarters never entered the individual coin market. They remain trapped in complete sets, making loose examples somewhat scarcer than the mintage figures might suggest. I've spoken with several collectors who purchased these sets back in 1996 without realizing their future significance. One gentleman from Wisconsin told me he bought 3 sets as birthday gifts for his grandchildren, keeping them in their original government packaging. When one grandchild became interested in numismatics 20 years later, they discovered their gift was worth nearly 20 times its purchase price. Another fascinating story involves a coin dealer from Florida who recognized the significance of the W mint mark immediately upon release. He purchased over 200 silver-proof sets directly from the mint in 1996, carefully stored them in climate-controlled conditions, and began selling individual quarters around 2010. His foresight turned a $4,600 investment into more than $100,000 over time. If you're fortunate enough to own one of these sets or the individual quarter, proper storage is crucial. The silver content makes these coins susceptible to toning over time, a process where the metal surface develops colored patina through chemical reactions with the environment. While some collectors prize attractive toning patterns, others prefer the pristine, untoned appearance. Regardless of your preference, keeping these quarters in their original government holders or quality aftermarket holders designed for silver coins will help preserve their condition and value. What I find most compelling about the 1996 W quarter is how it represents a conscious decision by the mint to create something special for collectors. Unlike error coins or varieties that occur accidentally, this was a deliberate commemorative issue that has become one of the most sought-after modern U.S. coins. It bridges the gap between traditional numismatics and modern collecting, carrying both the historic Washington quarter design and a special mint mark that signals its unique status. For those of you who might have purchased silver-proof sets in 1996 and tucked them away, now might be an excellent time to revisit that investment. And for serious collectors building Washington quarter sets, this one presents a delightful challenge, accessible enough to be obtainable but scarce enough to maintain strong premium value. It's the perfect sweet spot for modern rare coins.